2 people are dead after drinking Panera's new Charged Lemonade, an energy drink that in its large size contains 390 milligrams of caffeine, just 10 milligrams short of the 400 milligram limit for healthy adults set by the FDA. Both lawsuits filed shortly after their deaths claim that Panera did not adequately warn customers with cardiovascular conditions that drinking the Charged Lemonade could potentially kill them. I am not a medical professional, a judge, or a lawyer, so I can't attest to the legitimacy of their claims, but I can confidently say that lawsuits against corporations save lives, plain and simple. Despite this fact, myths about lawsuits are widespread, claiming they are frivolous and should be restricted. These notions are dangerous, and a push to restrict people's right to sue negligent companies is a step in the wrong direction. The public's perception of lawsuits is that there are just too many of them over minor things like burning your tongue on coffee that's just a little too hot. Oddly enough, that quintessential example of a frivolous lawsuit has been debunked time and time again. In short, the woman who sued McDonald's over their dangerously hot coffee got third-degree burns all over her lap. Because of that lawsuit, McDonald's now serves coffee at a lower temperature. So this case that has been weaponized against the purported evils of lawsuits is actually a great example of why they are essential. There's a great Adam Ruins Everything episode and retro report video on this case, which I recommend that you watch after finishing this video, liking, commenting, sharing and subscribing, and checking out my Patreon. The lowest tier is only $1 a month. Back to what I was saying. Despite the McDonald's hot coffee case proving why we need lawsuits, people still believe that lawsuits pose a threat to your average person. Organizations such as Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse claim to represent the common people, working to protect them from frivolous litigation. But many have claimed these organizations instead represent the best interests of billionaire CEOs. They point to the fact that they are supported to a significant degree by megacorporations and not necessarily by concerned citizens. What may be considered astroturfing efforts rose in prevalence in the wake of the McDonald's hot coffee case, where only a few years after the incident, organizations like the Bay Area chapter of Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse were quietly being paid $600 a month by the infamous fast food chain to cover their billboard expenses. What's scary is that this effort to influence the public's stance on lawsuits has worked to a significant degree. People believe that lawsuits are being abused. A commonly cited 2016 Election Day poll by Public Opinion Strategies found that 87% of those surveyed believe too many lawsuits are filed in America. Though lawsuits do protect consumers, is there a shred of truth to that sentiment? The answer, in short, is no, not really. The vast majority of lawsuits are very, very boring and not exciting multi-million-dollar personal injury suits. Tort claims as a whole are very rare, as J.M. Feynman, a Rutgers law professor, pointed out in an article he wrote for the Washington Post. The study he cites found that lawsuits where someone is suing for physical, emotional, financial, or other consequences allegedly caused by a defendant's actions make up only 7% of the nearly 1 million civil cases the researchers studied. Most of those weren't about coffee, they were about cars, and commonplace motor vehicle accident suits are not something that normally garners headlines. What do receive a lot of media attention are the multi-million-dollar jury awards given out to people who sue individuals and corporations, but these, as that same Rutgers professor makes explicit, are extreme outliers. He points out that the median jury award from 2010 to 2016 was only a little over $68,000. And if you know anything about what things cost in America, especially now, that can be a pitiful sum of money. For example, if you get hit by a car and sustain serious injuries requiring an extensive hospital stay, your bills without insurance will likely be hundreds of thousands of dollars, not tens of thousands of dollars. It's also important to understand that a given multi-million-dollar jury award reported on in the media may not represent the actual amount of money a plaintiff receives. Individuals and large companies especially find clever ways to get out of paying people what they're owed. You only have to look as far as the recent Purdue Pharma case to see how the system is broken. I was listening to the Wall Street Journal's podcast on Spotify, and they explained that the $6 billion pot of money allocated for victims of Purdue Pharma's negligence comes with so many strings attached and stipulations in the agreement that families who would otherwise receive tens of thousands of dollars are fighting to get the agreement struck down by the Supreme Court. Corporate restructuring during the process of declaring bankruptcy gives Purdue Pharma and the billionaire Sackler family that own it sweeping protections against being sued in the future by people who have suffered from their blatant disregard for human life and well-being. If the Supreme Court permits these kinds of protections to be added to other large settlements such as that one, it would set a dangerous precedent that would likely eliminate many of the pathways ordinary people can take to fight the corporations that ruined their lives. Thus, it's clear that jury awards can be completely insufficient, rather than being so large that they turn people into millionaires overnight. The broken state of consumer protections makes lawsuits essential for keeping us safe, but the legal system is also broken. To provide an excellent example, Dr. Michelle Wong, aka Lab Muffin Beauty Science on TikTok, casts serious doubts on the legitimacy of enormous settlements related to cancer and talc in a few short videos on her page. This is in response to the HBO Max docuseries Not So Pretty, which has this cover insinuating that common beauty products you could find at the drugstore are actually a radioactive poison. Headlined by an art school graduate with a film degree and narrated by a leading expert in cosmetic science, Kiki Palmer, the 4-part docuseries, according to an actual expert with a PhD in her field, is filled with alarmist misinformation. Dr. Wong is clear in her TikTok that the lawyers involved in the program should not be treated as the authority on the dangers of asbestos in makeup products. Their job is to take a case to court and win by presenting a compelling argument, whether or not that argument is scientifically grounded or not. The judges and juries that determine the outcomes of cases like the one suing over cancer connected to talc use listen to expert witnesses whose testimony is bought and paid for and decide on the case based on serious legal precedent and the vibes, I guess, because how in the hell is an ordinary person on a jury or even an experienced judge going to understand organic chemistry? I mean, what is this? Huh? Using one of my 3 brain cells, I can generally determine from the conclusions of reputable studies and from the fact that Trixie Mattel is not in hospice after inhaling 3 pounds of pancake makeup a day, that talc in cosmetics probably won't kill you. But if I were on a jury, bombarded by the testimony of doctors with degrees from prestigious universities engaging in all sorts of obfuscation, I'd be as hopeless as anyone else. While it's clear that lawsuits are not foolproof, they can be all someone has to fight against greedy corporations that go about their business with little regard to our health and safety. Lawsuits hit negligent companies where it hurts, parting them from their money and making headlines that send their shareholders into a frenzy. Whether it's potentially damaging legal precedents or a threat of regulations that promise to restrict the already difficult process of filing a lawsuit, the vital tool of litigation is concerningly in jeopardy. The American public has to understand that 9 times out of 10, lawsuits are not out to get them, and while they unknowingly support megacorporations pushing for legislation that protects themselves from lawsuits, the average person is left vulnerable to actual frivolous lawsuits. You see, for wealthy individuals and large companies, the legal system will always work in their favor, no matter what. It is those without multi-million-dollar dream teams representing them that are in danger of being potentially harmed by lawsuits. I doubt that this fact will ever change though, as regular people are usually not the ones who influence policy. Anyways, I'm Robert Tolpe, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I hope you had a wonderful day. Bye-bye.